We also asked you guys to share some SIME thoughts in the studio and appear here next to me as a darling, loving hologram. And this just came, so I have no clue who's here and what
The
you're
great
say.
thing about SIME is that Ola speaks a lot, and he has a lot of things to say and to meet new people.
It's like a recharger. You get energized and you get a lot of inspiration.
So the best thing about SIME is that you can be yourself.
The best thing about SIME is your ideas, your talent, and our party.
They collaborate with some really good sponsors.
The best thing about SIME is, of course, SIME non-profit. Great job, Therese.
The best thing about SIME was the opportunity to live a still summer weather in Greece and get here in Stockholm and get some cold, but also to leave the misery of a country in crisis and get some new, fresh digital air of optimism.
About 20 years ago, I studied here in Stockholm. A couple of years ago, I was Ola's CEO, and it's always nice to be back, and it's always nice to meet you all. Thank you very much, guys.
And that is, through pure serendipity, Mr. Robert Lang. And he's heading up Criteo and the growing markets of Criteo. And he's here, and he's actually going to be in the next panel. So if you like being here, welcome up. The stage is yours, Robert Lang. I see that I really influenced your dress code. Hey, Robert, welcome back. Hey. Have a seat. You're going to get joined by some fantastic e-commerce companies. But first, in so many seconds, what is Criteo?
Is this working? Great. So Criteo is a data-driven performance display company. So we make banner ads perform better than anyone else in the world. And our clients love it, our publishers love it, and our users love it as well.
And you went public how long ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And what's the market cap now?
I don't know. I think it was around $2 billion, and it's been one of the largest tech IPOs, European tech IPOs, and it's an amazing experience to be part of it, and it's an amazing experience to walk in a conference like these and the company's name being mentioned so many times and become a sort of lighthouse for European entrepreneurs that actually, as a proud European and a company with European sources, it's possible to conquer the NASDAQ as well. So that's really, really cool. I feel very blessed, and still, it's a hard to grasp concept actually. This blue crystal that you get at NASDAQ, that's a very, very rare specimen.
The next speaker is somebody that knows a lot about growing fast. In fact, they're the fastest growing retail company in the history of the internet. Michael from Zalando, please welcome up on stage. Have a seat in the sofa. Welcome.
Thanks.
So, how many of you have bought something on Zalando? Raise a hand. Yeah. It kind of looks like that in every market, and you know, a year after they launched, everybody gets on the site. And you're going to get joined by none other than Ning Li from Made.com, the US fantastic retail store online that is now expanding in Italy, Spain, and everywhere else. Ning, have a seat.
I don't know.
So, what I want to try to figure out is, how do you guys grow so fast? And we're going to have somebody that sees a lot of different e-commerce companies grow on the side here to check if the stories hold water. Because there's so many people thinking, oh, e-commerce would be nice, let's just start something. A lot of retailers start an e-commerce site, and virtually nothing happens. And then you guys come, if we start with you, Michael. Zalando, I mean, I don't know if it's $2 billion, 2 billion euros in sales you do this year or something like that. And the company is how old?
We just turned 5, actually.
Turned 5 years old, okay.
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce?
I mean, of course, there's a lot of hard work, number one, and a lot of good people. At the end of the day, we had, of course, a very good idea, and we did something different in terms of a little bit the value proposition that we brought to the market. But at the end of the day, it's hard work, good people, and when really measure, and that's also a little bit why we kind of like Criteo. So
Ning, tell us about Made.
So Made.com is a platform that connects consumers,
designers and manufacturers, where actually consumers can get a very nicely made, high-quality designer furniture for very affordable prices, and designers can get a cut of our royalties, and manufacturers can sell more. So May.com is about 3 years old. We have about 130 people. We're growing over 100%, and we're enjoying it.
And the cool thing is that you can have super good designers connect to, for instance, a factory in China that can make these things, and they're maybe at, I don't know, a fifth or a tenth of the high street price?
So usually when you buy a piece of, say, sofa, let's say it costs about £1,000 or €1,000. It typically costs about €100 to manufacture. But because there are so many actually middlemen or retail store or staffing costs in between you and the manufacturer, it becomes 10 times markup at the end. And so we try to use internet to try to remediate and change that paradigm and give actually some benefit back to the consumer and back to the designers.
So if you were, and all three of you, if you were professors at the best e-commerce university, because there will be e-commerce universities in the world, what would be the key things you taught your students?
It really depends whether the students are of the advanced class, like the ones we have here, or the students are more of the early classes. But I think we have, with the technology, we have an opportunity, like you said, to cut out the middleman, but we have the opportunity to make an end-to-end connection and give back to the people like marketeers, online marketeers. We have the ability to give them back to focus on what really matters, right? The conversion on the site, how do you have your product portfolios, what's the optimal grouping, etc. Now, in the display world, it's so heavy, so cumbersome. When I started at Criteo, and still now, we have to sign faxes to buy digital display. It sounds so crazy, and you have to pass through so many stages that actually somebody who runs it for you end to end, that is very, very good, because you can focus on what you should be doing. So the major recommendation is, and there's a couple of them, I have prepared something, it's like a cooking show, okay? We have the CMO handbook, so there's a couple of things, like recklessly test. So I think Zalando is the world master, so whatever is good is never good enough. They turn around every stone on a monthly basis and challenge all their suppliers like crazy. That's what makes them and their suppliers so good.
Tell us more about this. What would you teach your students?
I think going back a little bit to the question how advanced they are, but I think at the end of the day we are a retail business, and online versus offline, I think the sort of main advantage we as an online player have is that we do have this ability to essentially measure everything and use that information to instead of having, you know, when you, let's say, I don't remember, let's say Nordstrom's in the US cannot the best service or best experience when you buy something. When you go to those department stores, we try to give that same experience online, and the way we do that is really using a lot of the data that we have in terms of, okay, what's this person going to like? How do we ensure that the checkout process, all of the elements that the consumer interacts with is as easy and as tailored and you know, fits the purpose.
But everybody says that in e-commerce, but you're doing something different. I mean, you look at it more often, or you check A and B tests more often. There's something different.
I mean, A and B test, absolutely. There's numerous of them running on any given hour, so to speak. And I think just the rigorous in terms of measuring. I mean, we have our planning cycles vary from sort of daily to monthly, sort of at the most, almost. But it's really just looking at KPIs on a daily basis, at least, if not sometimes more so than that, but usually on a daily basis at least. And really trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to do differently tomorrow, next week, in order to just keep this continuous improvement, this continuous performance enhancement.
But it's kind of cool to sort of be the best performer and still challenge it every day. Ning, what are some of the key success factors from Made?
Unlike Zalando, we are in a very different vertical. So we sell really bulky and high-ticket items. We sell sofas about, you know, £500, £1,000 items, and we're also trying to create a brand, because we actually design and manufacture every item that we are selling exclusively online. That has their own challenge. which means you cannot touch and feel our products before you purchase. And when you spend £1,000 to buy something, that could be a major barrier. So in the beginning, for the first year, we were really about focusing everything on online experience. But then we realized actually that the retail experience is not purely about online anymore. It's about really offering everything, not to make the customers lost in translation, as you said earlier this morning. So we try to offer everything that can bridge the gap of the touch and feel before they make the purchase. So we typically send out a lot of fabric samples before, to convince people when they make the purchase. We created a little showroom in Notting Hill, where we are in London, where people can actually experience and interact with the product before they make the purchase. And that actually is transforming a lot the business, as we see so far.
So there is a marriage between physical and e-commerce?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we really see customers want this, touch and feel part. The main obstacle for us is how to recreate this physical experience without actually incurring another cost of having high street stores again. So
yeah, so it's very interesting. So the two gentlemen, they both said something. It's like you have to know what you want first. So I had an epiphany. So that one of the first clients meetings that I had in Germany was a large telco company, and so I asked them, "What is your cost of sale that you typically incur online?" And there were 4 people, and the heads would go like boss, junior boss, junior boss, external consultant, and he said, "Well, it depends." Right? So if you do not know what you want, then and then you put the data infrastructure in place to measure it, then it's going to be incredibly hard to do that, and it's incredibly hard to improve because you don't know how good you are, you don't know how much better you could get, you don't know who to select and why. Then it gets very staggering around in the fog. So you need to know what matters to your clients, and then what you want, and how do you get there, and to pave this way. That sounds super easy, but and I know 62 kilos, you know what you want, and you know how much you need to get there, how much you need to fast to get there. But a lot of people or a lot of companies, they're not very clear, or they don't clearly measure, or they don't have a second system how to measure what is good.
But it's what I'm hearing here is it's a lot about doing what everybody's saying they're doing, but much more disciplined. So when I started with e-commerce, it was 96 or something like that when we started Boxman. We thought that the world was flat, that we could sell everywhere. And that was complete bullshit, because in Finland 50% of the music is humpa and it doesn't exist anywhere else, and there were no payment methods. And the French, they had their own internet called Minitel, and you know all those stories from those days. Now you're growing really rapidly into new markets. Is the world turning flat, or is it still very, very challenging?
I'll start then. I mean, at the basics, in terms of the channels we use when thinking about our communication channels or marketing channels, essentially the same. But you need to localize the way you speak to customers. That's kind of been a little bit of what we believe in and what we've done so far, and that's something that's worked for us. There are, of course, several people that choose, various .coms or .eu approaches, and yeah, we're happy with our approach.
Yeah. So local is very strong. What about you when you look at the world?
We really have, merely 1 year of international experience. So we launched in France about 8 months ago and launched in Italy 6 weeks ago. But what we are thinking is that we should really be focusing on our core strength and target one segment of the audience that should be more or less similar across the market where we are. Because at the scale where we are, about 130 people, companies too difficult to localize for each of the market that we are targeting. So we try to make an offer that's uniform for most of the market we are, and we try to make the market, the audience, adapt to our offer. So it's not to mean that the world is flat. It means that we may be better off with resource utilization if we focus on one segment of the audience.
We see that in clothing, it's fairly similar in different countries here, but
So I think the world is not flat at all, right? So seen from space, it looks like a very flat place, but when you're on Earth, it's not flat at all, right? So when you look at, everything e-commerce, in Russia, 80% of the transactions are cash on delivery. So they're actually paid when they hand you over the package. You think you can ship packages and they will actually reach the destinations without you building your own distribution system? Well, you're wrong, right? And then in Asia, you have 40% of the transaction happening on these devices. And they're not cheating. They're not putting, how do you call it, surfplata? So tablets inside. This is pure mobile. And in Brazil, it's less than 1%. So there needs to be a lot of local adaptations. And this is, I think, where the people come in play. So you offer a box of modules which you know that are working, and then the adaptation to the relative market and the strength to work around and to adapt them the way they need to be adapted for the relative market, that's where the people come into play, and they need to be very passionate and strong and really know their stuff.
We speak about the mobile. How important is the mobile for a company like Zalando? When will you see transactions going on big time? Or maybe they do already.
Yeah, I mean, we have actually quite a large share of our traffic, total traffic on mobile or non-desktop/laptop devices already, and the growth we've seen on that area so far this year is tremendous. We've always, or for a few years now, had mobile sites. Which we continuously optimize, but now really we have now 3 different apps on all of these sort of 2.5 big operating systems that exist in Germany, and that is an effort that's taking quite a bit of time, but it's also something that already has proven very successful.
How do you see from advertising technology perspective?
Mobile? Mobile is a tsunami that is going to hit everybody. So we have the luxury as a global company to be based in Japan, where it's driven out of. And again, 30 to 40% of the transactions are done through mobiles. And a lot of the retailers, actually, they put mobile first, such as Facebook did last year, and many others do, like really make your mobile experience work so that you can transact on it. And then we see the same growth rate. So we see people in Brazil, they say, yeah, but I only have like 5% transactions on mobile. And you say, yeah, but we know that next year is going to be between 10, 15, and the year after it's going to be over 30. So you need to go and act now. And I know I've gotten a lot of feedback like, yeah, but the customer experience on mobile is less good. Go ahead, that's what the mobile is. That's what the mobile is in your country, and that's the bandwidth and the penetration of handsets. You need to work with it, or somebody else will do, and then they will be faster. They will be transacting mobile while you still, optimizing your desktop experience.
How important is brand? Is it sort of we Google and we find and we click anyway, we find the cheapest or we find the best deal out there, or do you want to have a branded experience? And in that brand, is it just the name you need to know, or does it look and feel a way like you go into a high street store, or you go into a, shop to your drop kind of bargain store? Is there sort of glossy stores and non-glossy stores?
So for us, brand is everything. We have a view that Amazon is going to take over the world eventually for whatever retail sector we are. So we try to create our own products that can represent the brand. So not just the brand, the logo, the image, the packaging, but also fundamentally we try to create a product line that are exclusive to us that Amazon cannot easily recreate unless they want to set up factories, which maybe one day they're going to do. But the brand for us is one, so there are 2 important things. One is to have eventually much lower customer acquisition than other people, because when you have your exclusive products, then people will come to you rather than compare your products. They know that whatever they're buying from your website is exclusive to you, therefore they're not going to easily compare somewhere else. And secondly, it's something that can encourage a lot of repeat and loyalties over time, and that can, in return, lower again your customer acquisition costs.
So just buying clicks without a brand creates a lot of infidelity, and then they go clicking somewhere else. Whereas if you have a brand, that's sort of one. So brand building, even if it's sort of traditional brand building, is a very strong component in e-commerce as well.
I think there are e-commerce companies that try to compete on services like Amazon or Zalando. You really try to compete on 24 hours, 48 hours, 7-day deliveries. whereas companies like ours that view us as a vertically integrated brand that actually try to compete on products. So that's a very different game because we are doing very different things, and service is very important components to us, but we are essentially a product company more than an e-commerce company.
Michael?
I mean, brand, I concur a lot with what's been said already, but I think also one critical important why we we invest a lot in the brand is also it's a prerequisite. Awareness is a prerequisite for trust, and that. So trust, or awareness and trust go hand in hand. So that's kind of step one. And now I think where we are in the sort of journey of our company is really filling that also with more values, more promises. So at the end of the day, your brand becomes something that can be a competitive advantage. That helps on dimensions already mentioned, such as revisits and repurchase, etc. But also that you also have the opportunity to take the, for us as a multi-brand retailer, take the discussion away from, okay, is the price in shop A versus price in shop B higher or lower, and you take that conversation away and start talking about, okay, is the overall experience I have at Zalando better than over there, even though I might have to pay 2%, 3%, 4% extra.
I mean, this whole panel is really a little bit of an appetizer because we're soon going to go to Transact, the first SIME e-commerce summit, and we have, I think, 220 seats, and I think there's 340 people that have signed up. Is there a new e-commerce boom coming? Is there a new e-commerce craze? Do you see that happening? Because everybody's all over e-commerce.
So for sure, just to add on the brand, I mean, we're in the performance space, so we're an extension to the brand. It's very important to keep the brand aside, and only doing, let's say, performance banners, we can show that it has a 20+% uplift on the brand recognition, and it has other nice side effects. So all of a sudden, your SEO, like the organic search, the requests are driven up by over 50% because you keep on penetrating that brand image in a banner, and you can do it over TV as well. So it's super important to keep the brand, and that's how you really distinguish. I mean, if you look at cars today, honestly, they're not really that different, but there's a plethora of different cars. And
unexpected to hear from a German, but
of course.
No, but what I hear here, and as a sort of a summary for the ones that are not going to the e-commerce summit, we're seeing that you're saying the same thing as everybody else is saying, but you're much more disciplined, you're much more data focused, you measure, and you know what you measure and why you're doing it. I think those are takeaways, and also that a brand is very important to sort of inspire that trust and the long-term relationship that sets you apart from people just buying and selling clicks to each other. And you need to be able to do that in the mobile. Yeah. And the world is not flat if you're standing on Earth, but if you're living in space, it's a perfectly flat place. So is that kind of a good summary?
And e-commerce is going to rock. It's going to be very big.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.